Hello, this is Gbpjpy analysis for the second week of September. What we saw, so I've annotated it, and what we saw last week was we created an intraday high right here, right? Recent intraday high, and we did pull back down to 140.0. This market structure level you see here, 4-hour market structure. And basically, I think that we can either pull back down to this trend line area. So watch for a reaction at trend line, possible higher low formation, or break. If we do get a higher low created here, our first target would be 141.500-ish. This market structure here, you see this, 141.500. And if we do break above 141.500, then the buy range till 142.500 should be completed. Okay, so buy range should be completed once price breaks back above 141.5. And then if that higher low does form, then the next thing to do is create a higher high, and then our higher high target would be at 143.500 daily and weekly level. So I'll show you where I got that from. In case this trend line does break, we have been very active on this trend line, right? It is holding through, so if the trend line does break, then save sells if TL plus 140 break, so sells on the lower high retest. So break, retest trend line, close below 140, and then continue down. Get through this area first. That's why I have this break in arrows. That would be the first target, and then low target if price breaks daily TL would be 138, 137.8 area. And we saw that end of August, we saw a strong bull move after rejecting trend line. So if we do see something like this, and then price comes back, taps trend line, then it's safe buys, right? Okay, so this is pretty much the analysis. We have our targets, these levels that we're going to be playing through. But yeah, let me just show you how these levels came to exist. Just remove drawings. Okay. So where is it? So daily still continuing like this, right? We have that like higher low, higher high structure, correct? So basically the weekly target that I said was right here, 143.500. You see how it lines up there perfectly with this little FTR candle on the daily. So we'll draw our zone there. We draw our level there. Okay, cool. So that's our range, right? We also have 140. What levels do I have? 140. Let's go into intraday. Oops, wrong pair. We go into intraday. We have exactly 140. Price came down to it before. Let's draw that trend line, and we'll start to see. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, that trend line, right? And you see how price is kind of forming a higher low, and then when we do something like that, there's a big candle that comes down. So see how it did initially tap it, but then we came back, tapped it, right? So it's something possible that something like this happens, and then we go up, right? Buys on the trend line at the higher low, that'll be forming the higher low. Let me just add this here. So that's one of our key levels, 140-ish, right? We do have this market structure at 500. You see this? 140.500. What the fuck? All right. 140.500. This like this area, we can even move this a bit down, right? 140.500. So if we let's say reject this trend line, right, then we know our first target is up here, right? This would be our first target, and then if we break above this, then we're targeting, then we would target the most recent intraday high, which is here, right? So if we broke above, then retest, continue up. You can add further positions on the retest, right? and then you'd go to, so when we reach this high, after we create a higher low, then the next obvious thing in bullish market structure is to create a new high. Like, we created a higher low here, right? Came back to this market structure, and then we proceeded to create a new high, right? So break this, once this market structure gets broken, then we'd create a new high at 143.5, right? Oops. So let's say in that case, that would be our bullish scenario, right? I also have this level here from before, right? I'm going to use a horizontal ray because I hate when. Okay, so that's one of our levels, and then anywhere from 138 all the way to 137.8, which is a nice level. So in case that this structure breaks, trend line breaks, we've been respecting this trend line since June 30th, and then again at July 20th, July 28th we came down, and then August 24th-ish, or end of August. And you see that every time we have reacted to this trend line, we have done 300 pip move, 300 pip move till we had our first big pullback, but did continue higher. So let's say 400 pip move. Right here we did a 230 pip move, and then here we did a 300 pip move. So you see, like, the trend line is still very active, and basically if we do reject it again, you can easily see that price will form a higher low and then come back up here, which is 260 pips, right? Possible create a new high at 143.5, which would be 330 pips. Okay, but let's say that scenario doesn't happen, and in fact we do get a break of the trend line. If we do get a break of the trend line, we're going to need proper confirmation of a lower high, an active intraday bearish market structure, right, printing. So in case that does happen, trend line breaks, we'll be looking for a retest and price closing below 140, right? And you know, as when price closing below 140, then we're likely to head down to this level and then down to 137.8, 138 level. But the trend line would have to break, and we would have to see clear 4-hour structure, like breaking and then creating a lower high, rejecting the trend line and closing below 140, and then we continue down. Otherwise, that's why I said safe sells if trend line plus 140 break, and then say sells on the retest or lower high formation, right? But otherwise, this is a very key area, 140 and the trend line. So we're going to be watching out for possible reactions at this area. Let price setup come to us, because over here, this was the start of the week, okay? So price did a small move, and then the next day came back down, set up for further buys, and then the actual week started, right? So that's what we're going to be watching for. We're going to wait for price to come to us, come to our levels, and watch your reaction, because there's no point in playing in the middle of this level when you can just wait and snipe those entries at any of these levels, right? Wait for price to come to you, essentially. So these are the levels I'm watching out for. Very clear analysis, still following intraday bullish market structure, right? Higher highs, higher lows. So it's possible we continue up, or if we break this, then we continue down and enter in a bearish market structure. But as of right now, we will be watching as price approaches trend line and 140, and base our next move off of that when what happens with the price action at 140 and the trend line. Okay, so if trend line breaks, don't hold the buy, don't be married to the buy bias, okay? Adapt and attack. So yeah, just this is the analysis again. We saw the strong moves after rejecting trend lines, possibly come down and grab liquidity and then continue up. If the trend line doesn't hold, then we can push down. There is no major GBP news for the week, so strictly just base it off price action, and we'll see how it goes. That's it. Gbpjpy analysis for the second week of September 2020. Thanks for watching.